The corpse in the storm. During a violent storm off the North Sea, a young forensic pathologist named Linda is called to an isolated island morgue. A fisherman's body has washed ashore, mutilated, eyes sewn shut, chest cavity carved with symbols. The power flickers as Linda begins the autopsy. Inside the body's stomach, she finds a glass capsule containing a phone number and the word "help." When she dials it, a terrified man answers, whispering, "My daughter's been taken, and you're the only one who can save her." The line cuts dead. The call for help. The man on the phone is Dr. Paul Hertzfeld, a senior forensic surgeon in Berlin. His teenage daughter, Hannah, has been kidnapped by a serial killer known only as the Surgeon. Each clue to her location is hidden inside corpses across Germany. The first clue led him to Linda's island morgue. Paul instructs her how to perform an emergency dissection to find what's inside the corpse's skull. Linda trembles but obeys, discovering a microchip containing GPS coordinates. The island isolation, the storm, severs all power, communications, and transport from the island. Linda can't leave, and Paul can't reach her. She's trapped with only the dead, the dark, and the sound of waves slamming against the walls. As she investigates, she realizes the body was recently moved. Someone else was here before her. Bloody footprints lead to the morgue's basement. A figure moves in the shadows, breathing heavily. The stranger in the dark. The intruder reveals himself, a local janitor named Ender, claiming he found the body on the shore. He seems paranoid, muttering that the dead man isn't really dead. Linda doesn't trust him but needs help powering the generator. As they descend into the flooded basement, Ender tells her that more bodies are hidden along the coast. Meanwhile, Paul decodes the GPS chip. It leads to an abandoned anatomy lab in Berlin. The killer's voice plays through his phone. Each cut brings you closer. The anatomy lab Paul breaks into the abandoned university lab under the cover of night. The walls are covered in anatomical sketches, bloodstains, and notes about human dissection. He finds another corpse, a female, dissected but still fresh. Inside her chest cavity, he discovers a child's bracelet marked with H. Before he can examine further, someone locks him inside. A message flickers on the lab monitor. "You're next, Doctor." The hidden tunnel Paul escapes through a maintenance tunnel connecting to the city's old subway system. He calls Linda again. She answers, terrified. Something is stalking her on the island, whispering through the vents. Paul instructs her to search for a metal case buried near the morgue's foundation. It contains the next clue. When she digs it up, she finds a preserved human heart sealed in glass and a photograph of Hannah. Written on the jar, "Only a father's love can cut her free." The message in the heart. Linda carefully opens the jar. Inside the heart is a folded piece of paper, waterproofed in plastic. It contains coordinates to a remote lighthouse on the other side of the island. She and Ender set out through the storm, dragging a portable radio to keep in touch with Paul. Along the way, they find a series of surgical tools hanging from trees like trophies. Ender confesses he once worked for a doctor who liked to play with bodies. The lighthouse horror at. The lighthouse, Linda discovers a secret lab powered by car batteries. Jars filled with organs line the walls, each labeled with initials and dates. In the center stands an operating table, still wet with blood. Ender grows agitated, muttering that the doctor told him to protect his work. Before Linda can react, he locks her inside the lab. Through the glass, he whispers, "You weren't supposed to find this." The surgeon revealed. Meanwhile in Berlin, Paul uncovers a name from the university files. Dr. Falk, his former mentor, presumed dead. Falk had conducted illegal surgeries on coma patients, claiming he could transfer consciousness through organs. Paul realizes Falk is the surgeon, using his old students' lives as part of his revenge game. Each corpse holds a piece of his research, and a step closer to Hannah's location. Paul's guilt deepens. He helped cover Falk's crimes years ago. Now the sins have returned to collect. The trap tightens. Linda escapes the lighthouse by smashing a window and diving into the stormy surf. She reaches the shore exhausted and freezing. Paul instructs her to check the corpse freezer for a special body Falk once donated. When she opens the freezer, one of the body bags twitches. Inside lies a still living man, gagged and missing both arms. Scrawled on his chest, "I am the key." The living key Linda revives the armless man who identifies himself as Marek, a medical courier abducted by Falk. He tells her Falk implanted a chip under his ribs that can unlock the killer's data vault. Paul urges her to perform minor surgery to retrieve it, guiding her step by step via radio. As she cuts into Marek's flesh, lightning strikes, the generator dies. When power returns, Marek is dead, but the chip blinks with life. She inserts it into her laptop, revealing coordinates to Berlin. The abduction memory Paul drives to the coordinates, an abandoned hospital complex under renovation. In the main hall, he finds Hannah's school uniform drenched in blood. A projector flickers on, showing footage of Falk performing surgery on children. A voiceover taunts, "You learned from me, Paul. Now finish my masterpiece." Paul realizes the hospital used to store organ donors for his mentor's experiments. He swears to end it, even if it means crossing every line. The paranoia. Spiral back on the island, Linda is losing her grip on reality. The walls of the morgue seem to breathe, and faint whispers echo in the vents. She discovers Ender's notebook, filled with diagrams of her autopsy notes and photos of her sleeping. He's been stalking her for weeks. When she confronts him, he says, "He told me you'd come. You're the final piece." Ender attacks with a scalpel, forcing her to kill him in self-defense. The past resurfaces. Linda finds a key in Ender's pocket labeled B section. Beneath the morgue floor, she uncovers a hidden chamber, Falk's old research lab from years ago. Recordings play of Falk training young pathologists, including Paul. She realizes Paul and Falk once collaborated on unethical body experiments. The final file shows Falk performing surgery on a teenage girl, labeled Subject H. Linda gasps. The girl is Hannah. The deception Paul admits the truth over the radio. Years ago, he and Falk created Hannah as part of a cloning experiment to grow transplant organs. The original child died, but Falk preserved the clone as proof of his success. Now Falk has returned to finish his creation. Linda is horrified, realizing the killer's motive isn't revenge, it's resurrection. Paul pleads, "She's still my daughter. I have to save her." Linda whispers, "You don't save what was never alive." The reunion Paul tracks Falk to an underground operating room beneath the hospital. Hannah lies unconscious on the table, hooked to machines and IV lines. Falk greets him calmly, his face half covered in surgical tape. He says, "You taught me precision, Paul, but I taught you purpose." The two surgeons fight with scalpels and bone saws, a twisted ballet of rage and regret. Paul finally drives a blade into Falk's heart, but Falk smiles as he dies. The final autopsy on the island. Linda receives a message from Paul's phone. It's over, but attached is a video feed. Falk's voice speaking through a monitor beside Hannah's bed. He uploaded his consciousness into the girl's brain via neural implant. Linda realizes that Falk never planned to survive. He planned to live through her. Paul weeps, holding his daughter's face. Her eyes open and she whispers in Falk's voice, "Hello, doctor." The collapse. The hospital alarms blare as systems overload. Linda begs Paul to destroy the lab before Falk spreads further. Paul hesitates, torn between saving his daughter and stopping the monster. Finally, he triggers the sterilization protocol, flooding the lab with acid mist. He and Hannah vanish in the fumes as Linda listens helplessly. Static fills the radio, then silence. Aftermath days later, rescue boats reach the island. Linda is found alive, dazed, surrounded by bodies and burned medical notes. She's taken into custody for questioning. Officials suspect she was Falk's accomplice. But before they can interrogate her, she vanishes from the hospital. Security footage shows her leaving with a teenage girl wearing a surgical mask. No one knows who she really is. Post-credits scene in a quiet European city. A small clinic opens under the name H. Falk Institute of Regenerative Medicine. Inside, Linda performs delicate brain surgery on a patient. Her assistant, the masked girl, hums softly while preparing tools. A monitor flickers on, showing Falk's consciousness signature running diagnostics. Linda glances at it and says, "Everything is ready, doctor." The patient opens his eyes, They are Paul's.